Today's adventure brings us up into kind of the wild woods of northeastern Vermont. We're going to go to the town of Granby. Current population, about 85 people. But we're going up there to look at a historical marker pertaining to Rogers Rangers. It was in 1750s when Rogers Rangers came through here on a mission. They were a British elite fighting troop for back then, and kind of rough roads. There's a plaque and a little historical setting up here, just tiny, but it commemorates something that happened there. Back in the 1750s, the English were fighting the French somewhere between Boston, Massachusetts, and Montreal, Quebec. The French were up in Quebec, and they had become, or the Abenaki Indian tribe had sided with them, and there were other tribes down in Massachusetts area that had sided with the British. So keep in mind that there were no roads. It was just woods up through here. But the Rogers Rangers was commissioned to go to Montreal to fight, and they went up there in the 1750s and fought the Abenaki tribe up there, and then turned around and they tried to get back to their safety down in Boston. They started their long trip back, and it was barely you could use horseback, because it was just solid woods all the way up through there, or most of it. So it came wintertime as they were coming back, and they ran into some serious hardships along the way, to the point of running out of food. They didn't want to have fires, because their enemy would find out where they are and track them down and kill them. So it was pretty fierce stuff going on way back then. So we are now in the town of Granby. Population 83 or so. Oh, is that a dog? They have a dog. That's the town clerk's office we're going by, and the church. And this is the road that we want. Montreal Road. Not far from here, there's a pretty big bog. It's called Victory Bog, where the moose are very prevalent, or they used to be. I don't know if the ticks have eliminated them or not. Okay, we should be getting here pretty quick. Rogers Rangers Cemetery. This was in 1759, actually 2 years before the town was even founded. And the stone cairn marks the graves of 2 Rogers Rangers who died during the French and Indian War. The story is that they had gone all the way north to Montreal to attack up there a French and Abenaki village. And on their way back, this is kind of one of the places they stopped, is at a high point of land. But there was a moose, apparently, that they had shot. But in the process, there were wolves. It was just a vicious area. And one of the soldiers died immediately. The other 2 died from wounds in this battle with animals, basically. And so this is where they were buried. From here, we're going to go to another site that's further south by driving. It's it's over an hour just driving down. But we'll go down. There's another plaque down there that further highlights their travels and the hardships they experienced during this time. So just picture this. I mean, you're out in the middle, you're in the woods. This is literally how what they would have to go through. The they would follow game trails that might be just not much different than this. There might be a slight, just a path, but it was really the only way that they could get through because there was no roads. There were no roads built at that time. We have traveled now, took about a little over an hour. This is a couple days later that I recorded this part. About an hour south of Granby, where we were, talking about Rogers Rangers, and right here, approximately here and down through, this is actually the Connecticut River, that's Vermont, this is New Hampshire. The river goes down through another few hundred yards. You'll see it on the drone video when I put that up, where the Ammonoosuc River comes in. It was a perfect meeting spot for Rogers Rangers to catch up with hopefully what was supposed to be a rescue mission from Boston with supplies and food to rejuvenate them, because they had been running from Montreal for a long time. This was actually around October, first part of October 1759. There's a town a few miles down that was first incorporated around here back in 1761, Haverhill, New Hampshire, that was kind of one of the first settlements around here. There was nothing. What you see here, there's a mowed field right here. That was obviously not mowed. There was nobody around here to mow it. I don't know if it was been full of trees, but just the area. You can see sand dunes over there, ledges. It's a perfect spot to try to catch up, to sit and try to wait out things. There were severe hardships as they waited here. The cold was settling in. In October, it starts to get pretty cold. It gets down in the 20s and 30s Fahrenheit. But they were trained. They were British or English. I don't know which they would have called them back then. English, probably. Elite fighting troops. So they were trained in how to live in the woods, how to live off of the woods, to take care of themselves. But when you don't have food and certain supplies just to keep warm, they couldn't have fires because that would warn the French that were hot on their heels coming down. So a lot of them starved to death, froze to death. It's said years in the ensuing years after that, they would find skeletons of the remains of some of the soldiers. I don't know how many actually made it back down to Boston. Pretty sad stuff. Interesting stuff. There were Indians on the British English side. There were Indians on the French side, and they were just all having a big fight. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little video. We'll have more coming out. All right, thanks again.